So before we start with the agenda presentation, I would like to remind you some basic rules for online training. So as I said, this training session will be recorded, and please use or stop your camera at your convenience because the training will be available on ALFAwetlands YouTube channel later on. Feel free also to rename yourself and indicate your organization. And during this introductory session, I would also like you to ask kindly to write your country of your operation in the chat of our training today. Please also keep your microphone off. We will have a question and answer session in the later stage of our training, and then you will be available. Will be available for you to use your microphone and maybe raise hand when you have a question. And there is also possibility to write your questions and comments in the chat, and my colleague Laura will be following them and answering and supporting you. So only presenters and hosts will be sharing screen, and you can also express your sensitives if you like, or would like comment on some presentations. So we started with our presentation now, and after that we will move to the next session, which is dedicated to training expectations. After that, we will hear our coordinator from ALFAwetlands project from Natural Resource Institute Finland, Luke, Lisa Okonmanaho. She will present you why enhancing of knowledge of European wetlands is important. After that, our sister project representative, Lorenzo Pugliese, will present on behalf of Wet Horizons, our sister project, and he will tell us why Wetland Map is important in achieving Wet Horizon goals. After that, we will move to representatives of ALFAwetlands project from Michael Sukov Foundation, and our colleague Marie Lawrence will present you why peatland restoration and policy integration in Europe, what is important and what are the aspects of regulatory context, what are the data needs and recommendations from ALFAwetlands. After that, we will finally get to the introduction of European Wetland Map, and we'll learn from our experts, Alex Barmelt, about why the European Wetland Map is a game changer. This presentation will be followed by the Cosima Tegemeyer, another expert who was working on the development of this European Wetland Map, and she will present you the map, how it is operating and how you can use it. Then we will have a question and answer session. We would like to hear your feedback and how you will use the map in the future. And then we will have a guest speaker who will tell us about the example, how he is using map, and you are also welcome to share your experience of the European Wetland Map usage. And then we will move to the closure of our training today, and we will wrap up and announce you some next steps. So what about our training? Why we are doing it? This is a part of ALFAwetlands work packages. Work package number 1 is the research work package, which is meant to conduct meta-analysis and land use assessment for enhancing European wetland knowledge, and also a part of ALFAwetlands dissemination, exploitation and communication work package. Our today's training objectives are to increase understanding of the European Wetland Map and its role in supporting wetlands restoration and policy implementation, strengthen awareness of data and policy context related to the wetland restoration in Europe, and empower stakeholders to use the European Wetland Map in own work. So as you know, the European Wetland Map is publicly available, free of charge available, and we already have more than 4,000 views of this map and about 7,000 downloads. This means that this is an important tool for those who are working with the GIS data and for planners and hopefully for decision makers. It is also important to mention that this European Wetland Map is a joint result of ALFAwetlands Wet Horizon project and the third project called Building the European Peatland Initiative. So this is a joint effort and mainly on this map we're working Michael Suko Foundation and Greifswald Mia Center, partners from these projects. These are contact information from ALFAwetland project and you are welcome to follow our news and to interact and support wetlands research implementation in Europe. Now, I would like you to contribute to our training to make it more interactive, and we have two questions to you. First question is, have you already used the European Wetland Map and what are your expectations from the training? We will launch now a poll and you will be invited to answer two questions. So please use your time. Let's dedicate 2 minutes for it and we are asking you to give your feedback if you are using the map and what are your expectations from this training. I see that some participants already answered and we will wait another few minutes. So let's hear how many participants already used the map. Still few minutes to go. I will end this poll in 20 seconds. Please go ahead and we will see the results. The results of your answers to the question number 2, what are your expectations from this training, we will keep internal and you will only see the results, how many participants already used the map. So, ready? So as you see, only 10 participants of our today's training already used the map and 90% didn't use it. So you have it in the future, in your plans, we hope so. And in the course of this training, we will explain how to use it and what are the elements of this map. Thank you for answering these questions. They are really important for us. And now I would like to give a floor to ALFAwetlands coordinator, Lisa Okonmanaho. Please, Lisa, you are here, yes? And I will start sharing your presentation. Yes?
Okay, thank you, Irina. Okay, thank you. Yes, I would like to also warmly welcome you to this wetland training event today, and like Irina said or already introduced, my name is Lisa Okonmanaho, and I'm a coordinator of this ALFAwetland project. And this ALFAwetlands comes from the total name Wetlands Restoration for the Future. So the wetlands are in really the focus in our project. And ALFAwetlands was the project which produced together with Wet Horizon this new wetland map. And I would like to tell you something more about the ALFAwetlands. Now, Irina, next slide, please. Okay, looks a little bit different than in my screen. Anyway, this ALFAwetland is a Horizon Europe funding project, and we started this project 2022, and it will last almost until end of the 2026. So we have about 1.5 year left in our project, and we have 15 partners in our project, which was one reason that we were able to do this kind of map, this European level map, wetland map. And the aim in our project is, can you press the, Irina? Is to mitigate climate change while supporting this biodiversity and ecosystem services, and same time being socially just and rewarding. And this includes, of course, the increasing the knowledge about the carbon storage and release in wetlands, specifically after restoration. And this is, of course, to answer these questions or do the work in our project, we needed more detailed information about the wetlands in a European level. And this wetland mapping was concentrated in our working package 1, which is meta-analysis and land use assessment for enhancing European wetland knowledge. And it's led by Alex Barthelmens from Michael Sacco Foundation. Next slide, please. And well, in our ALFAwetlands, there is, of course, many other working package which are going on. And in addition of this working package 1, so we have also the working package which is concentrating on co-creation in these wetlands, and working package 3, which is more or less the field work we are doing there. For example, this greenhouse gas emission measurements and biodiversity measurements. And then there is a working package which is focused on modeling and scenarios, and the working package which is about the economic and social impacts of wetland restoration. So we have quite a, well, let's say quite a holistic approach to wetlands in our project. And in addition, we have this dissemination, exploitation, and communication working package, which is, of course, behind of this training session as well. So thank you, Irina, once again organizing this. And then we had also the management, and in the core of our project is those living labs, which was also in the figure which you saw. So we are doing there most of the concrete work, what we can do related to restoration and wetlands. But why these wetlands are so important? Why we want to research? Why we need these maps? And the main reason, or well, maybe one of the most reason is that due to climate change, we need to decrease these greenhouse gas emissions. And in Europe, we have this aim to cut at least 55% by 2030. And wetlands can be an answer for that, because wetlands have a remarkable capacity to sequester carbon. And if you think about the coverage of wetlands, globally we have 5 to 8% of the world terrestrial landscape is covered by wetlands, and Europe the number is 1.7%. But in Europe, actually, if we look at the situation which was about 300 years ago, there was 15% more peatlands or wetlands in Europe, and but they have now we have lost them due to drainage for agriculture, forestry, and urban development, and therefore to answer to increase this wetland area, we can do this restoration and increase the carbon storage, and at the same time reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. So it's really important that this wetland restoration is very important. But to do that, we need the more information about the wetland area in Europe. And so far, the wetland area in Europe has been very fragmented. So it is really difficult to have some kind of comprehensive information where these wetlands are really located. And now we have answered us. We have answer to this question, and now we have this new European Wetland Map, and it shows in Europe peatlands, floodplains, coastal wetlands more comprehensively than ever before, and they are in a single map. So it's a really great achievement. And there in this map there is there has been combined different kind of GIS data on the different kind of wetlands types. So not only the peatlands, but also those wetlands which are located on mineral soils like coastal environments and the floodplains. And it's a kind of information what policymakers need, but not only the policymakers, but also the land users and anyone who is interested in wetlands. So it is very important, and it's also the essential tool for achieving the climate goals. And it will be useful thinking about biodiversity and things like that. And for example, if you want to locate some wetland, this wetland map gives an easy possibility, and you can, for example, if you are a landowner, you can identify where the wetlands and peatlands and wetlands are located on your property. So it is a really nice one, and also it will be an effective tool in a modeling. And I, as this coordinator of this ALFAwetland project, I'm very proud that we have really achieve our goal that we have now this map. It was one of our key goals in ALFAwetland project, and also I think this is a very nice example of the successful cooperation between two EU-funded project, ALFAwetlands and Wet Horizon, and also the other project which were included in this preparation process. But now I'm not going to talk anymore. I just thank you coming this meeting and training session, and I hope that you enjoy this meeting and training. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa, for your brilliant presentation, for the overview of ALFAwetlands, and for our activities. And yes, I would like to support you that this is one of the main results of ALFAwetlands and sister projects, and we are very proud of it. And we hope that after this training, number of participants who are using this map will increase. Thank you again. Now the floor goes to our sister project, to the representative of Wet Horizon project, and I would like to ask Lorenzo Pugliese to continue to take over and tell us why European Wetland Map is a tool in achieving Wet Horizon goals.
Thank you, Rina, and hello, everyone. I'm actually not able to open my video, sorry. It says that it's disabled, so I will just not have it on.
Okay, would you like me to share your presentation?
Yeah, it's fine, you can share, but yeah, they will not be able to see me, I think, because of some settings.
Okay. So here we go.
Yes, thank you so much. So hello, everyone. My name is Lorenzo Pugliese from Aarhus University. And today I'm representing the Wet Horizons project on behalf of Xu Biao, who is the project coordinator. In this small talk, in the next few slides, I will try to give you an idea how the European Wetland Map helps us in Wet Horizons to achieve our project goals, and therefore contributes to the restoration targets set by the European Union. Yes. So this is an overview, a brief overview of the project. So it's the project unites experts, research institutions, and also stakeholders, and all of them have the aim to stop or reverse wetland degradation. And here in this figure, you can see what is the geographical reach of the consortium. So we have 16 organizations in the consortium from 8 different countries. So the overall mission is to support ecosystem restoration, keeping in mind objectives of the EU Green Deal and also the biodiversity strategy. So the project, similarly to what Lisa said previously, the project has also started in 2022, and it runs for 4 years. So we are there is one and a half year left to the end. So next, please. Yeah, what are the challenges for us? So as you are probably very much aware, the state of European wetlands, it's quite bad. So they've been degraded through the years because of different activities, such as drainage, agriculture, peat extraction, and so on. So we need to restore them, and to do that, we have to account for, we want to obtain some goals. So that the main goals are to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from the drain peatlands, and also restoring or at least preserving the current biodiversity, and at the same time also ensure that there is that this is economically feasible for landowners and then for the communities in general. However, we have a big bottleneck, which is it's about data. So across Europe, there is a lack of harmonized high resolution and also updated information regarding where these wetlands are, in what conditions they are in, and how that they can be best managed. So without this information, some effective action and planning, it's nearly impossible. So next slide, please. Yes. So here comes in the European Wetland Map. So the goal is to address this bottleneck and provide more harmonized information and of the wetlands across Europe. So the map, you will probably hear more information, better information later about this, includes information regarding wetland type, the extent, the distribution, in what conditions these wetlands are, and management practices, I believe, were available. And this data can help, how this data can help us. This data can help us identifying some priority areas where the interventions will have the biggest impact, and also fits in this information into policy development. So it supports policy decisions. It can be at the EU level, but also the national levels, and also helps improving the accuracy of our greenhouse gas models. It helps tracking the biodiversity and also evaluating possible trades-off. So overall, the map is not just a background reference. It's not just something that is put there, but for the Wet Horizons, it's actually a core deliverable. It has been a core deliverable. And why is this? Because, yeah, with the map comes an interactive peatland and wetland database. And this it's one of our operative objectives, the 1.1. And also this fits into our care R1 and R2. Additionally, the map is it represents the baseline data for our scenario work, which is done in other work packages. So we use the map to as a starting point, and then we build on this and try to plan and compare different restoration strategies under different assumptions. And it is also connected to our digital tools, the Wet Horizons app and the decision support systems. These tools should help practitioners and stakeholders to visualize data and also plan the restoration. Last but not least, the map can support some citizen science activities. For example, it can identify some underreported or unknown wetland areas and invite the local communities to contribute observations. This can enhance both data quality and also engagement, especially. So what is in it for the stakeholders, whether they are policymakers, landowners, or NGOs or researchers? So similarly to what happens for our project, it can help prioritize intervention. So if you have limited resources, where can we get most climate impact and also biodiversity impact per euro invested? It also promotes transparency and collaboration. So everyone, so decision makers, farmers, can refer to this map the same way. So in this way, we have some kind of shared language, which reduces conflicts and also improves coordinated action. And it can help improving the accuracy in reporting. So we all know that countries are required to submit inventories of greenhouse gases emissions and biodiversity reports to the EU. So a high quality wetland map can ensure that these reports are based on the best available data and science. Next, please. Yeah, to sum up, we can say that European Wetland Map is it's crucial. It's been a crucial achievement for Wet Horizon project in collaboration with ALFAwetlands. And this is not just a map sitting on a server or available on Zenodo, but it's actually an active tool which we can use for collaborating, for planning, and also for implementation. And if we provide clear, accessible, and high resolution information, this can only empower the stakeholders to work together more effectively. Thank you. That was it.
Thank you very much, Lorenzo. And it's possible to also turn on your video once my assistant will send you request for that. So please try it.
Okay.
And many thanks also for being right in time and expressing why this one of the main achievement of your project is also important and how many stakeholders can benefit from it. Thank you for that. Now we will ask our colleague from ALFAwetlands project, Marie Lawrence, who was heavily involved already into the collaboration with the policymakers, and we have conducted in the framework of 2 projects our questionnaire survey. What are the data needs? Of course, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time to present the results, but I think it's important if we explain the context and also explain what are the current developments regarding legislation and what ALFAwetlands is doing for that. So please, Marie, I will let you share your screen. You should be now, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Can you see the presentation fine? Maybe you can give me a short feedback.
Yes, we can see it. I can see it well.
Thanks for the introduction, Irina. Hello, everybody. My name is Marie Lorenz. I work at the Michael Sucke Foundation in Greifswald, Germany, which is a partner in the Greifswald Meyer Center. And today I'd like to give you a short tour around the peatland restoration and policy integration in Europe. And I will talk about the regulatory contexts and, as Irina said, about the surveys we did in the framework of ALFAwetlands. Yeah, this is what you've already heard now. I just wanted to point out that peatlands occur in almost all EU member states, which you can see on the small green map. They are concentrated in the North and Nordic and Eastern European countries and cover a total area of about 350,000 square kilometers. But looking at the big map and the red spots, you can see that in more than 50% of the peatland area is degraded by drainage for land use purposes. And here you can see what are the land use types. So there's significant differences in the extent of and use of peatlands in Europe and the peatland-rich Central European countries like Poland and Germany and the Netherlands. The peatland area is used for agriculture mainly, and in the northern European countries like Finland and the Baltic countries, it's predominantly forestry. So by that, the EU is the second largest global emitter of greenhouse gas emissions from drained peatlands. Sorry, I just had an issue here. So it's 230,000 megatons of CO2 emissions each year, which equals then to 7% of the total EU 27 greenhouse gas emissions. Following now with the regulatory context, peatlands play an important role for reaching the targets of several EU sectoral policies. And the most notable policies are the Common Agriculture Policy, the EU Land Use Change and Forestry Regulation, LULUCF, the Water Framework Directive, the Habitats and Birds Directive, the Nature Restoration Regulation, and the potential upcoming legislation is the Carbon Removals and Carbon Farming Certification. I want to go into detail for 2 legislations, and we will have a closer look onto the geodata needs of these 2 legislations. So starting with the EU LULUCF regulation, this legislation creates a framework for emissions and removals from the land use sector for the period 2021 till 2030 and establishes for the first time binding targets for all member states for this sector. The key components of this regulation are organic soils, so peatlands, and also forests, which are crucial elements in the LULUCF sector. The emission calculation is working via greenhouse gas emissions from organic soils, and this is determined by using activity data. And this activity data includes primarily informations on various land use categories related to organic soils and peatlands. Currently, there are gaps which come from the existing data on land use in organic soils and peatlands. This data is still incomplete and is posing challenges for accurate emission tracking. However, it's also important to obtain more data and better data on peatland distribution and emissions for reporting purposes, as we already heard. And the results of ALFAwetlands, particularly the European Wetland Map, will help here a lot, we hope. The second legislation I would like to go into detail is the Nature Restoration Regulation. This is a key component of the European Green Deal and an instrument for the EU 2030 biodiversity strategy. It's the first European nature conservation law in more than 20 years since the Habitat and Bird Directive. It has new binding restoration targets in order to meet international commitments, for example, restore habitats and species, and also to restore drained peatlands is a target. This law is recognized as a potential game changer, particularly for peatlands in agricultural use, and it's also seen as a tool to trigger large-scale transformation and restoration efforts. The regulation will require member states to develop national restoration plans. These plans shall detail how to achieve regulations, targets, and obligations, and these draft plans need to be submitted in September 2026. For this last point, we also see here a high demand for accurate geodata. If you want to find out more about the nature restoration law and the state of restoring wetlands in Europe, feel free to have a look into our latest ALFAwetlands policy brief. I can send you the link in the chat after my presentation. Coming now into the task of exploring wetland geodata needs of policy instruments. Within the ALFAwetlands project, it was our objective to assess the needs of respective policy instruments regarding wetland data in terms of spatial resolution and comprehensiveness. And for that, we had a three-step approach, including a survey, which was conducted in winter 23-24. And afterwards, we were inviting the same people to participate in an interactive online workshop that was held in summer 2024. And the last step was then a report, which is now a framework on geodata needs, and it will be published after review. Yeah, and it's notable to say that we co-designed this survey together with our sister project, Wet Horizons. And now I'd like to come to the survey results just really briefly. You can see here that we had participants from 9 different European countries, and these equal to the countries which have participating organizations in the ALFAwetlands project. And for the role of the participants, we had 3 main groups of participating stakeholders. So the participants were scientific advisors or experts in governmental bodies, environmental regulators and policymakers, and lastly, spatial data managers. Why is geodata needed for policy instruments? We asked that also our participants. We asked them which existing wetland databases do you use at the European and national levels, and it turned out that the majority of the stakeholders, which you can see in this greenish bar, is using national datasets on peatlands, soil maps, forest inventories, and maps of habitats and protected areas. Asking the participants for which purposes they will use the existing data. It turns out that it's mostly needed for wetland inventory purposes and for the identification of suitable wetland restoration sites. So the first 2 points account for 44% in total. And we heard that already there's a high demand to fulfill reporting activities, and there are 3 reporting categories we heard in our survey. This is reporting towards the EU, assessment and reporting of greenhouse gas emissions, and also reporting on national legal or policy requirements. To these reporting activities account overall for 39%. We were also asking about current gaps and barriers. What are the main gaps and barriers to obtain information or relevant data to your work on wetlands? The two biggest points, as you can see here in this graph, is that the information is scattered through different databases. That's accounting for 33% of the participants. Another 28% stated that there is a lack of data. So the next slide I want to show you is about our findings on geodata needs. We were asking the participants for which policy frameworks or directive they need the data. And you can see here on this graph that the top two answers were the Habitat and Bird Directive and also the Nature Restoration Law, which was expected at that time of the survey, followed by national peatland strategies and UNCF, LULUCF reporting and national inventory reports. In the workshop, we were trying to work out with our participants a bit more insights into the special data requirements and data priorities. And you can see here that the most important data priorities and aspects are the presence and absence of peat, the degradation status of peatland, information on land use and land cover, but also habitat type or presence of protected species and the wetland type. Looking at the data requirements, we can see that there is a demand for high resolution data, spatial and temporal data, and the data should preferably be updated every 3 years. Data characteristics which are needed, the data should be downloadable, GIS applicable data, either in vector or raster formats, and with accessible tables. So with this, I would like to come now to the recommendations which we were working out in our framework. It became evident that the pan-European product is needed. That this product should be easily accessible and preferably a wetland database or platform. And this platform, of course, needs to comply with existing regulations, for example, general data protection regulations. At best, this platform would provide a broad technical and EU-wide coverage with a common terminology on wetlands, as we called it one-stop shop solution for geodata. Currently, we see that there is obsolete and incomplete data on wetlands in Europe. This is resulting in the underutilization of available information and hampers the prioritization of restoration needs with regard to wetlands, especially on the EU level. This lack of data quality we have also, and this is contributing to the fact that the development of wetland policy instrument requires more time and effort, and this is resulting in higher costs. So lastly, the harmonization of the fragmented data on European wetland is of ultimate importance for the success of the EU climate biodiversity policies. This survey was done before the European Wetland Map was published and available. So with this, I want to end my presentation, and I'm thanking you for your attention. And now listen up to see what the European Wetland Map has to offer. Thanks, and back to Irina.
Thank you very much, Marie. I already shared our policy brief link in the chat, so participants can get acquainted with it and maybe use also in their work. Thank you again. And now we are getting to the main part of our training, and I would like to invite Alex for the presentation, for the introduction, why is the European Wetland Map is a game changer. Alex, the floor is yours, and I will share presentation in 1 second.
So then, hello everybody. I'm Alex Barthelmes, and I'm senior scientist at the Greifswald-Meyer Center. I have been leading the work package 1 in ALFAwetlands and also the work package 1 in Wet Horizons, where we have pulled up this massive effort to jointly to produce a European wetland map. I would like to just go into the definitions and terms. So just a short glimpse on the coverage. So this map covers most of the European countries. So we call it European Plus. And we have a couple of countries that are very small, or also Belarus and the Russian Federation that we did not cover with this map. Next, please. So the one of the most interesting data for users that we have in this wetland map is the peatland data, and you may know the Grosser-Meyer Center. It is in the name that we predominantly care about peatlands and peatland data. This data layer is so we have for the peatland information that is available very diverse data that differs between countries. So there are in our compilation we have not set the fixed threshold for peat thickness to accommodate for national and regional specifics. So most of the peatland layers we have included in the map have peat depth from 20 to 50 centimeter. Most of them are 30 centimeter or employed the histosols concept with 40 centimeters of organic layer peat thickness. So if we got hold on soil organic carbon information, we used as a big threshold the 12% of soil organic carbon to include this data set then. And this is a bit broader concept than peatland, and it's more like the organic soils. And rarely, since we also in science the last few years got greenhouse gas emission data from peaty soils and discovered that they are also quite substantial. We increasingly also include peaty soils with 6 to 12% soil organic carbon. And for some of the countries more in the south of Europe and southeast, we also had to go for typical habitat data, for example, and also Maya vegetation, the proxy data, because there are not really useful peatland or organic soil data sets available. Next, please. Then we also, beside the floodplains, beside the peatlands, include floodplain data. And here we also, but in this we collected also a lot of scattered floodplain information, and then decided to use for the floodplains a quite nice available European product, the Copernicus riparian zone product, as a baseline. And we also put on the map the 100-meter flood hazard map from GSC to complement the floodplain data. If we found useful national data, we also used it for refining. And then also the third major wetland type we have in the map is the coastal wetlands, the coastal zone data. And also here, because so we recognized, or it's often recognized, that coastal spatial data on wetlands is the least good mapped data. And that's also why we went back after our search for national or regional data to a Copernicus data set. And we used the coastal zones layer from Copernicus as a baseline. And this includes typical coastal wetland types. Yeah. Next, please. So if it comes to mapping and producing maps, there are two larger concepts that differ very fundamental from each other. If you map peatland or wetland, it's completely, so it's not the case. It's just to have these two concepts, and multiple methodologies have been employed. And they basically follow either a top-down approach or a bottom-up approach. So for the top-down process, the researchers employ remote sensing and modeling-driven data sets to predict global or European or national peat extent or wetland extent. So this is the, let's say, classical modern way of modeling and remote satellite image classification. And increasingly also making hold on a neuronal network technology. For this map and what we are doing at the Meyer Center, the Global Peatland Database, basically, is we follow this bottom-up process. And this is not using some indices and remote sensing modeling or satellite image classification, but we collect, we aggregate national, regional, and local data set for peat or wetland extent. So this is, the resulting product is always a mosaic. Yeah, and for this wetland map, we collated and assessed more than 400 GIS data sets on peatlands, floodplains, and coastal wetlands, and used about half of them for the European Wetlands Map, which is most of the data is included in the peatland layer. So the national peatland data layer is the basic big mosaic layer. So if we, the first thing is to find, to locate, and then you have, of course, to make up your mind about quality. So the obtained GIS data has undergone a procedure for evaluating its accuracy and completeness. So we used to check these data we can get hold on against proxy data, for example, digital elevation models, but also looking at satellite imagery and using ancillary data like publication, for example. And then we put anything together and use our landscape and peatland ecological expert knowledge. And this is then kind of plausibility check we do. So data sets with sufficient quality have been integrated and low quality data sets were excluded. And then we have this mosaic, this different input data, and we used the GIS tool to, it's called update, to bring it together. So to intersect the selected and prepared layers, this update tool was used. And in this process, the surfaces of the layers to be intersected are added and the attribute tables overwritten with the information of the overlaying layer. So we started with the causes data and progressively updated it with the more detailed and relevant information. And the peatland data layer is on top as the most important. So what we then have in this data set is a kind of hierarchy in the final European Wetland Map. And the lowest layer is this 100-year flood risk. So it shows basically where we have the areas that might in this, floods that in former times only reoccur 100 years, but due to climate change are more often happening here. These areas that are at risk from this flood. Then on top of it, we have the potential floodplain, and this is a quite nice thing that I would also recommend to use as a base layer for floodplains. This is the floodplain extent that would be there if the humans have not interfered with landscape. So this is according to the climate and to the topography. This is the floodplain extent we would have if we not would drain and use the floodplains as they have originally been. On top of this, there's the actual floodplain layer, also from the Copernicus product, that shows where we have still features of floodplains or some kind of natural flooding regime in the floodplains of the riparian zones for the product. Then on this, we have two different layers for the coastal. So the very main is the Korean coastal habitat from Copernicus. And then we amended it a bit with one global wetland map. So, and on top of this, there's then the peatland layer. And this is what we get. So the European Wetland Map, just to recall, is a product that has been compiled with two major projects, the ALFAwetlands, Wet Horizons, but also this European climate initiative project, building the European Peatland Initiative has been working on the table, on this map. And here you see a bit the colors. So in blue, we have the floodplain input data, the 100-year flood risk, the potential floodplain, and the actual. Then in brown, that's quite dominant in the north and the west, and in Central Europe, in northern Central Europe, is the peatland layer, and in between, from green to pink, these are the different coastal wetland types. So next, please. So what tells us this map about wetlands in Europe? So wetlands occur where the availability of water shapes ecological conditions and allows flora and fauna adapted to these conditions to thrive. So the European wetlands are found in all quiet climate zones and from the coast to high altitudes. And suitable conditions are mainly found in areas that have frequent excessive rainfall. So clearly the maritime climates in Western Europe, but also where high rainfall or restricted evapotranspiration hamper the decay of organic matter. This is then in the Arctic boreal and montane alpine environments, and also where large catchments guarantee regular water inflow and retention, so terrain depressions and floodplains, and along coastlines. So this means that the occurrence of wetlands follows landscape patterns that are the result of climate conditions, of geological processes, so mountain rising and sinking coast. Also ice ages is very key for the occurrence of wetlands in Europe, but also then very key is topography, depressions, lowlands, and also then related to that, the gravity-driven landscape drainage, so river courses and floodplain extent. And the European Wetland Map reflects these landscape and climate pattern largely. This is, now it's our map, but if I look at the map and we come from landscape ecology, this is always for me a nice first thing to look at if this wetland or peatland distribution reflect the landscape. And then you have a first clue that this map is closer to reality than maybe some others that do not reflect these landscape patterns. Next, please. So in some examples of that. So very nicely here, the approximate extent of the last glaciation. So this is the red line across mid to eastern Europe. In the north of it, you see a lot of peatlands, and this is then the younger landscape where the last glaciation has left a lot of depressions and lakes that have been infilled with peatlands, with peat. Next, please. And then also we have a lot of small but many peatlands in European low mountains, and I hope you can see it on the screen. So we have the Ore Mountains and the Bohemian Forest that you really see where the mountains are running through the landscape. We have the Ardennes, and also in the Massif Central we have scattered many but small peatlands. Next, please. And what's also very obvious is here the many peatlands on the foot slopes of the Alps in Germany, where excess rain runs off and accumulate, and then also triggers the development of peatlands. Next, please. So why is this map a game changer? It's a big word, but I think it's kind of that. So we think it's the most comprehensive European wetland map to date in coverage, also in the types we have been including. It provides free access also to the high resolution spatial data for peatlands that we have in there. And also it shows the interconnection of floodplains, coastal wetlands, and peatlands across Europe. So, but I have to say this was just, it's not perfect for every region. So we have to say that especially on the Mediterranean, southern and Southern Europe and the Balkans, there are still gaps to fill. Yeah. And here is one example, I think that's really good to see how these wetland types interconnect. And this is northwestern Germany, where you can see the spreading of the peatlands here in black, where we have the excessive rainfall, this and yeah, more maritime climate. Then coming the different floodplains, with the darker one, the potential floodplain, and then it goes with the lighter blue is the 100-year hazard, and then the coastal, the intertidal flats are visible over there, some estuaries. The map comes in different data formats to allow a wide range of applications. So we have on the Zenodo link, I do not know, have we already shared? So I will put it to this slide later. We have a high resolution image, and this can be used with every image displaying software to learn about wetland occurs in, for example, in your region or Europe. Then we have a high resolution country-wise geodatabase. So every country in this EU Plus extent has a decent folder where the high resolution data is in there. And this can also be used for local indication, but also for modeling. But this is the data layer that needs the highest amount, has the highest demand of computing capacity. So in this high resolution layer for the peatlands, there are also the additional information in there on peatland types, but also we have a basic drainage layer on there, but this one will be updated in another Horizon project that we just started. Also, the peatland data will be updated in the round of this new project. And then you can use for the intermediate data, let's say the country-wise raster data. This is on 1 arc second. These are raster TIFFs. And this is a kind of medium demanding for computing capacity. You can overlay it with, for example, administrative data to identify national, regional, or European distribution of wetlands. You can infer endangered infrastructure for the 100-year flood hazard and in potential floodplains. But also you can use this wetland map as kind of base layer that you can then overlay with current land use on data sets on wetland. So we will not have a temporal update for every year or so with this map, but you can use it as the baseline and then put annual land use, land cover products on top and this overlay and intersect them with here. Yeah, and then, for example, you can compare the wetland map with protected area extent or so on different scales. Yeah, and I thank you, and we are looking forward for the next collaboration on European peatlands and wetlands. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. You not only give an introduction about the map, and I think created a lot of interest and a lot of applications how to use it, but it's also important that the map which has been developed within the current project will be continued in the new projects and will have more broad applications. So thank you very much, and we already had the requests regarding presentation share, and I hope it will be fine with all the presenters today, all the authors to share presentations, and they will be placed on ALFAwetlands website, and we will inform you once they are available there. Thank you again. And now I would like to invite our second main expert of the European Wetland Map, Cosima Tegemeyer, and she will give you practical insights how to use the map, how it looks like, and how you can use it in your work.
Yeah, hello, my name is Cosima Tegemeyer, and yeah, I would like to share my screen.
As we can see already the map, but maybe you can zoom it a little bit, it's bigger.
Yeah, this is just for orientation. Yeah, so yeah, so this is The picture of the map, Alex already introduced to you. So this is just the overview. And I would now like to go to the data a little bit closer. And I would like to, can you see the Zenodo now?
Yes, we see.
Yeah, okay, then it's working as I like. Do you see my mouse when I'm moving it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, yeah, the data of the wetland map is available on the Zenodo. You can download it there for free, and there is a short introduction, and I would like to introduce the files to you. The files, there are a lot of files, as you can see. These are zip files, and this is mainly the raster data, which are divided country-wise, and for every country of the of Europe, we made a special TIFF raster file. So, and you can download them separately, and they are in an alphabetic row, and you can see them here. This is zip files, but in between you can also find other files, and this is because of the alphabetic thing that they are just in between. So this is the overview is a little bit blurry, but you will find out. So, for example, we have the raster files, but in between there is a JPEG file. So there you can download the picture file of the European Wetland Map, and there's also very important the technical description. And this is a PDF, and in this technical description, we explained every kind of data and attribute files of the vector data and so on. So please read it, it will help a lot. And then there are some files which you may be not familiar with. This is layout files for ArcGIS, and these ones are layout files for QGIS. It depends which GIS software you are using. And there's two different, one for vector files and one for raster files. And yeah, then you have all these country-wise raster data. And then here is a geodatabase, and in this geodatabase you find all the vector data from the wetland map. So, and when you have downloaded all of this, you can open this data in your GIS software. I developed the wetland map in ArcGIS, but this is not a free software, but you can also read the data in QGIS. QGIS is a free GIS software, and that's why I will now present how you can do it in QGIS. And yeah, this is my QGIS software, and it looks like this. So you have your browser window where you have your browser, there's your map window, and the layer window, which layers you have loaded. And I already loaded a background layer to my map, and here you can see this is all Europe, and now we can load data from the wetland map into this. Because the data is really heavy because it's a very high resolution for all of Europe. We divided the data, as I already explained, into country-wise data. This is the case for the vector data and also for raster data. And because it is really time-consuming sometimes to load the data, I will only present you an example, but then you can just we can try also another one, but then you can just go slowly for your country of interest. And just for presentation, sometimes it's just too long for loading, but please be a little bit patient when you are using it, because sometimes it takes some seconds to load and it's not broken, but your software probably will take a while, especially when you don't have a very good graphic card or something, or yeah, not so good laptop. And yes, so I downloaded all the data to just folder on my computer. And for me, you can see your browser here, and there you have all your folders as you know it from the Explorer. And then this is my folder where all the data are stored. So here I stored all the raster data, and in this folder, and there you can see there's, for example, for Albania, the TIFF file, and this is just another file. You need that it is located correctly. And this is here, the zip file. You have to unzip it, otherwise QGIS cannot read it. So when you then just pick with your mouse the TIFF file to your map, it will appear in your layer window. And then when you zoom into Albania, you can see that there's the data occurring. And then this is just random. So you will see the values of the pixels, but random colors. And then you can load layout file, which I already talked about. And we can do it like this, that you go to properties when you click with the right mouse. And there, here is a style. And then you can load style. And then you have to go to the location where you have stored all your data. I have to go there, go over the wetland map, and then I can see here, this is the layout file for the raster data, which I downloaded from the website. I can click on it, and then I have to open it. And then you go to load style, and then you see here's something happening. And then you have the right color, and then you can see the categories which we had for the wetland map. So, and this is also everything what is included in the raster data. So when you open the attribute table of your TIFF file, this is with the right mouse, and then you can go to open the attribute table. You can only see the value and how many pixels we have. And as I said, the technical description is very important. And when we go to the technical description, you see here the raster data, and you can see the values which we saw here in the raster attribute table. And then you see the description for it. So even if you cannot load the layout file, you have the description. What does it mean, your value? So you can use this data. Yes, and you can see that this is pixel data. So we have, yeah, just like little squares. But then you have the type of the wetland. When you want to go more deeply into the data, then you have to use the vector files, and this is in this global in this geodatabase, stored in the geodatabase, which you can download. And when you open this one, you can see that here is for every country also a feature class stored. And when I go for Albania, I just click on that and put it to the window. Then you can see that there is the vector data loading. Vector data is not just like squares, but it is more precise in its shape. It depends, because we also had some raster data as original data. So then, of course, it has also the like a raster data shape, but especially the peatland data are more like shapefile data with more precise boundaries. Also, for this vector data, we will load, as we already did with the right mouse click on the properties, we will load the style layer. And here you have from file, you have to look here where you stored your file. And this is this one. This was for the raster. This is for the vector data. Just load, open, and then bam, you have the same colors. And now you see that it is a little bit, I'll make this, sorry, I will do it again. Yes. So we have now the same colors and the same types here. But you can see that, for example, I can go here. So this is when with the vector files, sometimes you need more time to load. So when I turn off the raster files, you see that these boundaries are not like these squares. So this is the vector data, which is normally more precise than the raster files. And this is then to compare, then when you make a raster file out of this, it becomes this shape. Okay, so then also for the vector data, there is an attribute table. And we can open this attribute table with right mouse click. And then you can see that there is different information. For example, the type. This is what you see. So this is the, for example, the 100-year flood risk. Then we have attribute of the source. This is for peatlands, and this is the wetland type, and this is the peatland type. And when you can go back to the vector data, and in this technical description, we explained all these attributes and which information you will find in, and also the sources and what the different attribute, what does it mean to you, and then you can navigate through it. What is also possible when I'm using my info button, this is this one, I hope you can see it. When you have highlighted the vector data and use your info button, then you can also click on a special feature, and then you can see the what is in the attribute table. So this is a peatland. This is the map category 1. You can see in the technical description what does it mean. And here you can see, for example, peatland type. For this peatland, we have not defined a peatland type. So please be aware that for every data from peatlands especially, we tried to define the peatland type, but it was not possible for every. So sometimes there is something here, for example, a bog or fen or something else, but in this case, we have no special information what it is. So, and then shape area and shape length, this is just default data. Okay, so do I have something else? Yes. And what is very practical to do in QGIS is that you can load aerial data to your map. So I am doing it with XYZ tiles. You can load, for example, Bing aerial data or Google Maps to your map view. And then you have to put, oh, we can take the satellite images. So how to do this? If you don't know how to do this, please look for some tutorials how to do this, and then you can use it. It's very good. So you have to put this on the top, and when you now want to observe what is happening here, you can scroll and move, and then you can see what is happening in your countryside. So you can switch your wetland map on and off, and there you can see this looks like a wetland. There's some structures, and then you can see there is some salt marshes, and here an estuary. You can switch on, and this is the estuary. Yes, and when you can zoom in and out, then you can really go really close and look for the distribution of the wetland types. So, and yeah, and as I said, this was the example for Albania. because it's a small country and it's really nice loading. So you can also load from your browser, for example, another country. For example, we go to Denmark, just try out, and we will load the style. And now probably it will take some time. We can go to Little Wildmoose. This is a peatland. You see that the peatland is here. It's a natural part of the peatland, and here's a lot of peat extraction. It's not loading. Oh, it's underneath. So, and this is the peatland as it is. And here you can see, when you switch it off, here's a lot of peat extraction and agriculture on the peatland side. And this is the natural peatland. But here, for example, the wetland is indicated in the map as a whole thing. And then you have the coastal wetland types next to it, and so on. And then you can go and explore wherever you would like to go. Okay, this is from my side. Back to Rumina.
Thank you very much, Cosima. And maybe since you are still sharing the map, there are already questions from our participants. Maybe we can take a look at some technical aspects of the map. So we encourage you to use your microphone and ask questions if there are any for now.
Yes, I can still share. Please ask.
Yeah, then maybe you can stop sharing because I think I see a hand raised, if I'm not mistaken, and no. So, is there questions? Please raise your hand or just use your microphone. Okay, then maybe thank you. The most recent version is version 5. Yes, the most recent version of the map is version 5. And with this, I think we can start the question and answer session. Thank you very much again, Cosima, and dear participants. We shared with you the technical instructions, how to download the map, how to use software which can help you to open all the files. And if somebody of you already tried it out or had some questions, it's also time to address them. So, is there any questions, feedback? Use this opportunity because participants who wanted to participate in this training were a lot of such participants, and our experts have really limited time. So this is a right opportunity to use this chance and ask questions. I think I see something in the chat. Yes, the recording will be shared after the training, and once it is edited, it will be available on ALFAwetlands YouTube channel, and the materials will be available on ALFAwetlands website. I know that Alex already shared the technical description, yes, in the chat. Thank you. You can, participants also use download. Yeah. I think it was not a question. Yes, I will continue reading the questions in the chat. For the raster data, it was done with the vector data. I think this question goes to Cosima. Can you answer?
Yes. I exported the raster data from the vector data, is right. But as some of the input data, for example, the 100-year flood risks was already raster data, so I first converted this basic raster data to vector data, then we produced the map, and then after that, after the production of the whole map as a vector data, we then exported it again as a raster data. So that's why sometimes the vector data looks like raster as well, but it's not, but it's coming from the source.
Thank you very much, Cosima. And if there are follow-up questions on this topic.
Yes, I see that there is a question about drainage. The drainage.
Excuse me, maybe I will read it for everybody. So there is a question. I don't know if I misunderstood, but did you mention that the map also includes information about peatland degradation and or drainage structures?
I will reply. We are currently developing this drainage data and degradation data for the peatland map. It's not actually included now. It is, this will be done in the next step of the Horizon project. Sorry for that, it's not included yet.
Thank you. And Alex, you want to add here to this question?
Yeah, I would like to add. So we have compiled some basic drainage layers already in this process of developing the map. But it's not, it's kind of not complete. So we have seen that, so we decided to have another round to make it more comprehensive, to have more input data. We know that several of the big peatland countries of the European Union are currently working on that. Also AI supported mapping for Sweden, I know, and also for Finland, but it needs to be a bit consolidated. I think it will come up soon. We have a new Horizon project that started also, Peat for Peat. No, Paludi for all it is. and for this, we also have to develop this drainage layer further, but also the degradation indication. What is in review is also an overlay for the peatland layer with land use, land cover data for Europe. So this will be hopefully also out within the next 2 months. So yeah, there is a bit to go, but it will come up soon, I think.
Coming soon. Thank you. So a little bit of intrigue and to encouragement to follow our news and follow news of the new projects as well. Thank you, Alex and Cosima. So the next question is, were beavers' presence data used in any of the mapping? So you mentioned biodiversity, but we don't know how detailed it was considered. Could you please answer?
Yeah, I can answer. So we have not gone in that detail. So I understand this map actually really as a baseline. So we will include updates as the Meyer Center. We will work on the peatland layer continuously, also in this new project I have mentioned. But there is no real, let's say, beside the peatland types and a few sometimes habitats or so, there is this actual is not included in this map. That functions, as I mentioned before, as a baseline map. So you can use it to overlay it with such kind of data if it is available. So land use, any land use product, but also the FFH GIS data. So you can just put on top, and then you know what's in your parcel of the peatland map. You look at it, what's additional data is around there. And this you can do also with annual updates. For example, if land use land cover is monitored, or you can download biodiversity data from a lot of digital available platforms. I think this, what you also have, Irina, this where you can
iNaturalist.
iNaturalist. So there is a lot of things are available to be overlaid with that, but it is not included. This would also have blown the data much more out of proportion. You really, if you go to this high resolution data, you really need good computers to use the map already. And if we would have put a lot more information in the attribute tables, it would have grown also a lot. So this map is like the basic thing, and you can put anything that you would like to on top, and look through the other mask to your peatland or wetland below.
Thank you, Alex. Yes, just to mention that in ALFAwetlands we have different living labs, living laboratories in different countries, and recently we had created like a database of all living labs and all the biodiversity observations available on iNaturalist platform. Because of course there are other platforms, but that was the commonly used platform, and we will share this information also. So maybe you can search particularly for beavers in certain area, and information might be available there. So the next question is reviewing further. I think it is a mixed up of the references in the manual. Corina land cover and coastal zones are two separate Copernicus land datasets. And I think you have only used coastal zones for the coastal wetlands class.
Yeah, it's right. Yes, I will check that.
Thank you. Next question, it's about recording. Thank you very much. How to extract data from the peatland maps for modeling purposes? Is there an answer here, or?
I don't really understand the question, because I'm not a modeler and I don't know what data you need from the map. So sorry, I cannot really give an answer. Maybe you specify this.
Actually, in ALFAwetlands consortium, we have partners from in IASA, International Institute, who is leading modeling in our project, and they are already using this map. So maybe we can address this question to them and they can provide us more information, because we know for sure that data from the European Wetland Map is already used for modeling, but of course, it depends what kind of data needed, what kind of modeling is being conducted. Yes, and my colleague also shared the link to ALFAwetlands initiative, where we have all the observation of biodiversity available on our living labs.
Maybe I add to the modeling question. So in the geodatabases, you have the shape files also for the peatlands, and you could extract them. I think if you have the GIS capacity, so you can extract the peatland only area data from the geodatabases for the country-wise. And I also wanted to mention that we are also about to separately make available the peatland data layer at the Greifswald-Meyer Center publication series that we have. So this will also be, I think, in 1 or 2 months, be more easily available, because it is reduced to the peatland layer.
Thank you, Alex. And we have next question. Was the map validated?
We validated the map against another wetland map. This is described in the technical description. I have to say that when you are validating a map to another map, you have to take into you have to consider that the other map is not perfect and your map is not perfect. So you are validating an imperfect map to an imperfect map because a map will never be perfect. And then you get a result. And this is what your validation is. So our validation was that 76% of the pixels were accurate. So yeah, I think this is quite satisfactory.
Alex, thank you, Cosima. And Alex, please go ahead.
Yeah, I also would like to a bit elaborate on the input data, especially for the peatland layer. So for almost all of the, northern, so starting with UK, but going then also the Netherlands and Germany, Poland to the Baltics and then the Scandinavian countries, all of them have recently updated their national data, and most of them we have here. So included in the peatland layer is a lot of national long-term grown national basic data from these research institutions. And there is really a lot of knowledge and field work used to update and more increasing the quality of the data set during the last 50 years already. So I think that is, for me, these data sets are not produced. So they are not produced like using remote sensing or modeling, and then you go there with your validation data set from the field surveys. This is kind of what makes you easily produce some accuracy assessment. But I also value very much these long-term grown national data sets with the input of a lot of researchers and institutions. And most of the peatland-rich countries, for them, we have this quite recently updated national data in the map. So maybe this adds a bit also confidence to the data.
Thank you, Alex. And we see one hand raised, and we have one question in the chat, and then we, I think, should wrap up our session for today because time is valuable for all of us, and we still have some input in our agenda. So I will first read the question in the chat because it was earlier. Would it be possible to provide a confidence layer per pixel polygon presenting an evaluation of the quality, reliability of the input data?
Maybe we could check in afterwards.
Okay, good. Yes, so we have the name of the person, and maybe we will publish some follow-up summary, and we will address this question and also the follow-up question. So please, it's funny to read my name, so please introduce yourself and the lady with the raised hand and ask the question.
Yes, the name is changed. So I'm Pamela. I'm working recently with wetlands in my PhD. So I would like to use your data because I am planning to modeling some European wetlands, but I also was grabbing up some other data sets like peatland or another data. So my question with your data is how did, because as I understood your data was a compilation with several labs and also with some, for example, peatlands, war peatlands or some other remote sensing data or something like that. If I if I know if I'm correct. But my question, for example, is how do you deal with some overlapping? If some labs give you some data, some wetlands, mapping wetlands, and the others also had some, and they say that it is peatland, and the others say that it's quite a box or something. I mean, I'm just telling something. Yeah, so how did you deal with the overlapping if there are something that are crossing data between the labs or also with remote sensing data or another type of data?
So what it is always, not always, but almost any of these input data sets have been a kind of different background of their compilation. So some have been compiled, some countries have taking their available information on peatland and then putting some modeling on top. Others have just recompiled their historical data and having field trips and then increasing the accuracy of their old grown maps. If we look at the data set, so then I specifically used to look from our peatland ecological and landscape ecological knowledge. So if I have a dam elevation model and I have satellite images and I have a lot of different information about points of peatlands and also areas, I go over that and judge if there is really something contradictory from how is this peatland positioned in the landscape. If you have a floodplain, it should follow some elevation model, elevation thresholds. So if you have a valley and a peatland in this is always flat. And then you get the mountains steep up there. So it is a point thinking through all the data that we have. But for the European maps, these national data that we use, it looks quite convincing to us. This is what we have been also discussed about with project partners. We are also then in contact with these labs and discuss with them. And for example, for Finland, we have had 2 or 3 options, and together with Luca, our partner in ALFAwetlands, but also FMI, we were guided or had an exchange which one would be the best for the map. So it's always also kind of expert knowledge from the provider side comes into our considerations.
Yep. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex, and thank you to our participants for being active. I think most of the questions are answered. Some we will follow up in the summary of this training. And as we learned in the beginning, most of the participants didn't use the map before. But after this training, do you already have ideas how you will use it or how you can use it? I am inviting you to share maybe shortly your ideas in the chat. And I would like to ask for some input from our participants from Wetland International, from Lambert Hilarides. Can you please tell us a few words how you've been using the map already?
Yeah, thank you very much, Irina. Yeah, got my video.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks very much. Super interesting session. And I think as wetland mappers, we've chosen a difficult profession, as wetlands are very dynamic, both in space and in time, and delineating them is often not straightforward and sometimes quite arbitrary even. And as you said, this map is quite new still, of course, but I think it's a very exciting product and it demonstrates some much needed progress in the field. And I think also it puts Europe on a wetland map. I really think it's a big step forward. And I just briefly like to give an example, just a few minutes, of how in the past we've used wetland maps to help fuel wetland conservation on the ground, just from my own experience working in the Global Mangrove Watch project. So the Global Mangrove Watch started back in 2011 as a scientific pilot to explore the use of L-band radar data in mapping wetlands. But really, apart from in-kind contributions, it was only funded from 2017 onwards. And with the first global product published in 2018, which was a time series of mapping the extent and change in mangroves in the 1996 till 2016 period. So very simple, straightforward maps of mangrove extent. And around that same time, in 2018, 5 global conservation organizations, the Nature Conservancy, Conservation International, IUCN, WWF, and Wetlands International, agreed to stop competing in the field of mangrove conservation and to start collaborating. And they formed the Global Mangrove Alliance. And this Mangrove Alliance formulated a longer-term vision and defined 3 overall goals. The first one is to halt mangrove loss. Second, to restore half of the mangroves that had been lost, and to double protection of mangroves. And the scientific foundation necessary to quantify these goals and to translate them into a global ambition with local level interventions, that was provided by Global Mangrove Watch. So, for example, if the ambition is to halt loss, then okay, which locations in which countries do we need to target for these conservation activities? And if the ambition is to restore half of the mangroves that have been lost, then we need to know where mangroves had been lost, because you can't restore mangroves where they never occurred in the past. And second, which areas are most feasible to restore. And this third goal, to double their protection, you need to analyze where mangroves are underprotected. And so the work of this Mangrove Alliance is implemented via regional strategies that are informed by Global Mangrove Watch data, and they're implemented through national level strategies that complement this with local knowledge and local expertise through what we call national chapters. And so these national chapters consist of obviously of Mangrove Alliance member organizations, different country offices, but also national government agencies, local level organizations that collaborate and that stop competing for these in the field of conservation. And so there's now active chapters in more than 15 countries globally that represent the majority of mangroves worldwide, and that receive funding for the coordination of these activities through the Mangrove Alliance. And so every chapter's work program is really grounded in science using Global Mangrove Watch data. So as you can see, a key component of this whole process has been access to detailed geospatial information about the extent of wetlands, in this case mangroves, and changes over time. And one of the things that surprised me most is how having available very simple maps, very straightforward, of the extent and change of mangroves over time, spurred the demand for and production of all kinds of derived products. So like loss alerts of where are we losing mangroves in near real time, data about carbon content in mangroves, mangrove soils, the potential for restoration, layers on ecosystem services. And so in these past, say 8 years, there have been all kinds of follow-up products that really added a lot of value to having a very simple, very straightforward map of wetland extent. And the final point I'd like to make is having the Mangrove Watch now embedded as part of the Mangrove Alliance allowed us to move from a project to a much more longer-term programmatic approach that informs mangrove conservation and restoration activities worldwide. So I hope that we can achieve something very similar with the European Wetlands Map, that it will inform policy and conservation interventions all over Europe, as well as spurring all this follow-up research that is badly needed. So thanks so much for taking this very important and very big first step.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it's also important that you're sharing your experience and inspiring others in taking action. And I think in the face of this phase when everybody is working on the national restoration plan, this is right in time that we have this map, and we hope it will be applied broader, and researchers can join their efforts with the agencies, with the decision makers, and we will all achieve great results in wetlands restoration and biodiversity conservation. Thank you again, Lambert, and thank you all the participants for participation in this training. This is the first one we started with in ALFAwetlands, and we hope to organize more and to see you on our follow-up trainings. With this, I would like to start a new very short poll and to get your feedback about our training. So please take a few seconds and please answer. Will you use the European Wetland Map in your further work? Yes, no, not sure yet. The second question is, do you know other wetland, peatland, regional, national data that should be included into the European Wetland Map in the latest stage? Please indicate them. And would you be interested in ALFAwetlands follow-up trainings? This is the third question. And the last one, if yes, what are the topics of your interest that could help us to shape them? Please take another minute and we would appreciate your feedback. Okay, let's take another 10 seconds. So while you are finishing, I would like again to say a big thank you to all our presenters, to our trainers, that they found time and shared their experience with us. We hope it will be useful for your further work, and that also provided more information about such big research projects as ALFAwetlands and Wet Horizons. And please follow us and help us to restore and improve knowledge about European wetlands. So I will end poll now. So few results you will see, and others we will keep for our further internal use. So 17% answered that they will use the European Wetland Map in their work further, 17 not, and 67 not sure yet. And then would you be interested in ALFAwetlands follow-up training? So everybody answered that they are interested. Thank you very much for this feedback, and we hope to see you on our next training. Thank you again, everyone, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.